Welcome to Gate City Chatter, Greensboro's premier destination for all things creative and artistic. Staff from the Arts and Events section of the City of Greensboro Parks and Recreation Department produce this podcast. We record and edit Gate City Chatter here at Press Play Studios in the Greensboro Cultural Center. This is your host, Josh Sherrick, joined as always by my co-host, Matt Feltz.
What up, Josh?
How are you today, buddy?
Oh, man, it's gray and crappy outside.
It's a wintry, cold Monday.
It is a... Never mind.
We'll leave it there?
Yeah, we're going to leave it there. I'm not pleased.
Nice. Well, we are totally excited to welcome a new guest to the chatter here today, Seth Hall. Welcome in, man. How are you?
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
You living the dream.
Thanks for having me.
With Hall Pictures. Sorry, I didn't read the entire line.
Oh, yeah. It's all
you have
good,
your own picture company, man. I like that.
Yeah.
It's strong.
It's actually specifically for motion pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people do like video production and film. I was like, I'm just going to just keep it straight with just motion pictures.
That's cool.
Yeah. Good focus.
That's why we wanted to have you on. So you have a really awesome career and career trajectory that we've been talking about. But we'll get into that. But tell us about yourself, man. Tell all the chatterheads. We have a lot of really creative and passionate people, good listener base. So tell them all about yourself and kind of like and how you got to the place that you are currently sitting right now.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for having me. This is really cool. I love the studio here.
Yeah, Brody does a great job. We give another nod to Brody and Press Play Studios.
Yep.
Anybody can podcast. All they gotta do is sit down and go for it.
Just come on down.
It's a good setup. But yeah, like you said, my name is Seth Hall. I am an independent film producer, and my company is Hall Pictures, like I said.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been pursuing creative arts for most of my life, and I'm at a point now where everything I've done in the past has kind of all come together for the focus of film producing.
Yeah.
I started off doing music. Well, first I grew up with like movies and TV and music. That was like my escape in my childhood. Video games, and I was also outside a bunch too, playing sports. But I really was drawn towards music and film, and when I kept playing music, and when I got out of college, I decided to go play music for a while, and I did that for about. I went to Athens, Georgia. I don't know if you guys know Athens, Georgia.
To the heart of it. To the heart of it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I moved to Athens, Georgia from Raleigh. I was born and raised in Raleigh. Went to Athens, Georgia in '98 and played music for a while. And I'd always loved film, but when I was in Athens, I discovered, people actually make movies. Like they can actually do this. So I started getting more into it, and I got a job making local commercials, and. But
like mattress sales and stuff.
Oh yeah. My first job out of college was making local commercials in Georgia. Hands down.
Mayfield Dairy's down there.
Hands down.
Did you ever see the mattress commercial?
No.
The guy, it was just a local mattress place, and the guy was like, he's like, mattress factory, come down, we sell them. And this is his whole commercial. Like, it was just classic at the birth of YouTube. It's just one of the first viral videos.
Really?
I used to watch that, and show it to everybody.
Nice.
All these years later, the local commercial format has not changed.
Really?
It's the exact
same.
same.
Oh yeah, it's the same everywhere you go. It's not. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I love it.
So I did music for a long time, and then simultaneously with music, I was doing video production, editing local commercials, working on some documentaries, had some film ideas, and then after Athens, I went to New York City for a year and did some comedy, did some music there, did some film work, came back to Raleigh and started really diving into the digital arts, kept doing my music. I started learning, graphic design, anything on the computer. And then I was still involved in video and stuff. And I moved to Greensboro in 2009, and I started working on feature films, right? So I started, I've wanted to be a filmmaker, film producer most of my life, since I was 23 essentially. Yeah. And it took me a while to get where I am now, but yeah, so after, basically, long story short is I spent 15 years doing video film production.
Kind of building the entire
building
repertoire incidentally, but you were kind of deliberately doing it too.
Yeah, I was just working in audio video space, and that was either music or commercials or whatever. So I've been around that most of my whole career.
Did you participate in any of those? There were a couple major films that were filmed here in the late 2000s, weren't there?
I worked on 2 independent films in 2009 and in 2010.
Okay.
And then I made a bunch of short films myself.
Nice.
We did the 48-hour film festival, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we host that here in the building.
Yeah.
Actually. Oh man, what was the movie? There was one
Is it
about.
called like Jitterbug or
Oh, Junebug.
Junebug?
Yeah, Junebug, that was-
Jitterbug.
Angus
That's a-
McLaughlin, yeah,
that's a phone.
out of Winston. I think
Yeah,
that's his
Winston.
name.
Yeah, I think so. And then there was one that was like about a Wake Forest football player or something. It was
Not
like
sure.
a real inspirational thing. I can't remember what that one was. Oh, Leatherheads. That's one of them.
Yeah, Leatherheads,
Remember
yeah.
Leatherhead? That was
Shot in
George Clooney.
Charlotte.
Yeah, George Clooney and somebody else, or John Rodzinski. I think
I think it
they
was
came.
Charlotte.
They came here though. No, they filmed here for something.
Okay, yeah.
Not a lot of it, but I remember they filmed here. Oh no, it was out at the old Memorial Stadium.
Okay,
They
cool.
filmed some football shots out at the old baseball stadium because it was so old school looking.
Mhm.
They had the right scene because it was set in like the 50s or
Mhm.
whatever. Yeah, that was good. Anyway, sorry.
Well, that was back when the North Carolina had the film incentive.
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah. That's a big deal. Yeah.
Where big productions would come in.
Yeah.
It's different now.
I was
Yeah.
living in Wilmington when they ended that.
Oh, really?
Or right around the time they ended that, and that was such a, because Wilmington was such a big, even for big movies.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't. Was it the Iron Man 3 shot down there? You know,
Mhm.
it's a big mainstream movie
sure.
and brought a lot of jobs and stuff, and then that
That's-
left, and it was.
It's tragic. I mean,
yeah,
it's
it
not
was
good
rough.
for the. And I think at the same time as when Georgia picked it up. I
Oh,
think,
yeah.
right? They
Oh,
picked
yeah.
up their
Oh, yeah.
incentives, and so a lot of those people, a lot of that workforce just went straight down to Georgia, right?
In Georgia, I read a statistic, they made $9.5 billion in 2017, 2018.
Really.
We're
Like, all the Marvel
charitable
stuff.
people here, and we like to give money
Yeah,
away.
you know, it's really interesting. You don't know where that stuff is derived. It's because it's high level state legislature government, right?
Mhm.
You know, these are the things that certain like governors or high level state legislatures can control, and you never know why or how it works. I mean, here at the local level, like we support. I mean, at a pretty small level, but we support like the Piedmont Triad Film Commission.
Yeah,
I think
mhm,
Rebecca
yeah,
Clark.
yep.
We support them. The city of Greensboro does, but these are just small pieces to try to get small stuff here. But I can't imagine the impact on like a Wilmington that it is like a major industry there.
For,
I mean, it'd be
for a
like,
while
Yeah.
too, so it was like sustained in Wilmington. You know, Willywood is what everybody called it down there.
Wilmington, yeah.
So it was sustained and ingrained in just so much of what
Yeah.
Wilmington was and did, and then all of a sudden to have that sort of just exit
It's
was
wild.
kind of some people were having a difficult time dealing with that. But what you say is you're dealing with so much money on the state level, like regardless of the politics of it all. Like I would be lying if I said that I understood the decisions that went into that.
Well, it's
Uh,
become, from what I know, it has become a like partisan issue.
oh yeah.
But it really is an economic issue, in my opinion.
Mhm.
It's
It
like,
really is,
you used
yeah.
to see those bumper stickers, film equals jobs.
yeah.
Right.
So like, but in politics, everybody's divisive, and there's like the left and the right, and I just feel like film leaving North Carolina, everybody left to go
Yeah.
somewhere else, and the economy suffered from it.
Yeah.
And so people make it about a conservative or liberal issue, or from what I know about the powers that be, but really it's just like, do you want jobs here in the state? If you do, let's bring the incentive back.
Because it's not just the actors, it's not the director, you've got producers, then you've got grips, you've got,
All the
so many-
vendors,
the
all the
caterers,
food, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
all this different
Hotels,
stuff,
everything.
so many aspects of it that bring in money.
And what it is, it's incentivizing, I believe, the tax. I think it's like giving them tax rebates, like right on taxes
the way,
on
the
anything
way it
they
used
buy.
to be, the way it used to be was like a 25% tax rebate, and it was like a 500,000 minimum spend.
Yeah, yeah.
So like you could make a film for 500,000 and qualify for 25% back. Now they do have a grant. Now there's a film grant, but it is a $3 million
Cap, right?
minimum.
Oh, minimum. Okay.
For film, it's like $1 million minimum for TV,
Okay.
and so like the minimums are higher. So someone like me who's starting off in their career,
Mhm.
I'm probably not going to get a $3 million movie on my own, right?
Yeah.
A film with a budget like that. So I may not be able to shoot here
Mhm.
because a lot of times the incentive, it's like it dictates whether you may get the film made or not.
Yeah.
Because you can get money back, so you can actually afford to actually go and shoot it where you need to shoot it, and your budget ends up being lower. Your
Yeah.
cost is lower, and if it's either shoot in South Carolina or Georgia and get your film made, or shoot in North Carolina and don't have the money to make your film, people are
You're
going to
gonna
choose
get
to go elsewhere.
And
I
you still-
I personally want to stay in North Carolina.
Yeah.
When you start talking about money, is that just sort of the biggest differential from what makes, I guess, something like one of these big Marvel movies or something like that, and an independent film? Like, is that sort of the separation is usually budget?
Well, I
Or is
mean,
it like studio, like not having anything to do with like bigger studios, or how does that work?
Yeah, well, that's what an independent film is. It's separate from the studio.
Right.
Independent films can be expensive too, and they can
Right.
be tens of millions of dollars. But yeah, so like I think there's like two terms. There's like indie, which is like an aesthetic, right?
Okay.
Like
You
this
hear
film,
indie
this
all
film
the
is
time,
indie.
right?
But then there's the word independent, which is just something that's not produced by a studio.
Okay.
Okay.
You know? So me as a producer, I could produce my own movie independently, and it's an independent film, and then I could also pitch a project to a studio. They could buy it, and it would be a studio film.
Mhm.
You know, so it's like, yeah.
Okay.
And so I just don't know anything about this. It's such a cool topic because I like literally know everything. You're just gonna.
Well, one last thing I want to say is that
elementary,
I'm
yeah.
at a place right now
Oh, yeah,
where
yeah,
like
yeah.
all this like music, video, film production, I mean everything within video film, and then like even web. I've worked in web for a long time. Even like how to design, how to reach an audience, all that's kind of come all together to where I am now,
Mhm.
which is it really came together when I went back I got my master's in creative producing at the School of the Arts in
Oh,
Winston,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I went
yeah.
there like 16 through 18, 2016 through 2018, and that really like a switch kind of flipped in me. I was like, I learned more about the filmmaking process. I learned more about like what it is to develop something. I learned more about what it is to market and distribute something. My expertise was in production,
Mhm.
right? But you have to have development. You have to have reach your audience. You got to have a good story.
Mhm.
You got to make the story, and you got to reach your audience. It's a whole package.
It's a whole package, yeah.
So getting my master's, increasing my network, just learning a ton, and then with all my other, all my past has all come to a place now where I'm like, okay, this is something I feel like I can actually do. It's still super hard
Oh, yeah.
to be a producer. It's like crazy business to like even try to get a film made is a miracle.
Mhm.
But it feels like I'm pulling from all these places that help get a film made, and it's everything from like building relationship to solving conflict to understanding what a crew does,
Mhm.
to understand how to work with writers, and it's just a lot of stuff. And I'm stoked to be here, man. It's
That's
fun.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. School of the Arts is one of the best, right? In Winston?
Oh, it's the
Winston?
best,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, it's one of the best
North Carolina
in the
School of the
country.
Arts, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely the best it's the best in the state. Obviously,
Really?
it's probably the only one in the state that I know of in terms of a like dedicated film school. But it's one of the top film schools in the country.
And they've put
Like,
out
it's
some-
on lists on like Hollywood Reporter listed as like number
really?
14, and oh yeah, man.
And they've put out
Oh,
some
yeah.
big time people, right? I mean.
Oh
like,
yeah. It's
there's
a
been
big
some-
school.
Yeah.
And they have 5 conservatories there. They have like dance, music, film, drama, and then design and production.
Okay.
So like all 5 of those conservatories have put out tons of professionals
That's
that
awesome.
work in the industry.
Man, that's a sleepy. You know, I lived in Winston for a while, and I knew a little bit about the School of the Arts, but I didn't know a lot, and I think they probably get overlooked a little bit just because Wake Forest, these big
Yeah.
schools that are there. But that in the creative world, it's good to know that they have such a footprint. And
Well, that's what's so cool. Like when in 2015, I was doing web development, and I was like, man, I miss film. I really miss filmmaking.
Mhm.
It's like, how do I get back into it? Like, I did the whole like guerrilla style, and I was kind of burnt on that. And then I got this email that was like, there's a new program at UNCSA, and it's creative producing. I was like, oh my gosh. And I read it, and I was like, this is totally me.
Yeah.
So I applied, got in, and it was like right in my own backyard.
Yeah.
So like all these years I wanted to,
Yeah.
I thought about going to film school in New York, all these years, and I ended up like right in my own backyard going to one of the best film schools. And it was really amazing. It's a life changer, honestly.
And good
So-
as you for going back to that late in life. Like I did the same
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
I was 11 years from my undergrad to like master's,
Yep.
and I was like, wow, like Matt, you're saying
graduated
Still
about
in,
20
still in grad school. So,
I graduated almost 20 years to the day.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 98 from undergrad in 2018.
Wow.
Yeah, like literally like a week off.
Ah, that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah, it was fun. It was
That's
fun.
cool.
I learned a ton, man.
So
I'm
now,
still learning.
so now the plan is you've launched your own independent film pictures group. So what is the plan? So you make a movie here and there, or what's the progress? I mean, obviously you're still going to work, doing a lot of web development.
Yeah.
You got to piece it all together because I'm assuming it doesn't pay all the bills. But how does
Yeah,
that
it
work
doesn't
as a
pay the
business
bills.
model, basically?
Okay, well, Hall Pictures as a business model is just straight up motion pictures, right? There's no money in short films, first
Okay.
of all.
Mhm.
Short films are a good way to develop talent and your skill level and kind of get open doors
Mhm.
and get noticed, but there's no money in it. The money is in I use the word money in quotes really because it's tough to make a living. Like one of my mentors said, he's like, you can make a killing, but you can't make a living.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
if you make something that hits, you could really make a lot of money in the
At one-
market.
yeah.
But it's hard to make a living at it day to day. So for me, my goals as a producer is like, it starts with writers. Like I develop relationships with writers. I develop scripts. We get to a point where the script is in a good spot, right? And then we create a business plan around it. I try to find the money, all the different elements to get the film made. And then obviously you need to know who you're making this film for,
Yeah.
and how you're going to market to the audience. And then you go out there and you try to reach your audience to make your money back, because it's just a business.
Yeah,
Film
yeah.
is like an
Yeah.
LLC, right?
Yeah, you still, yeah.
You make your money back, hopefully, and then you do it well enough to where you can make another one.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, like, I really want to work with people who have a unique voice, people who are underrepresented, people who, like, I feel like I can help people make their movies.
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
I'm not a director, I'm not really a writer, but I do develop character and story. But like, I'm someone who can see a script and a writer and director, and say, I like you, I like your script, we're developing a relationship, I can help you make your movie. Because a lot of people don't even know what it takes to make a movie,
Yeah.
to put it together. So my goal is just, I pay the bills through any kind of creative work, all
Yeah.
kinds of creative work. And then with Hall Pictures, I'm just focusing on making, I've made 2 short films through Hall Pictures. I
Okay.
produced 2 short films last year with my good buddy Morton Savage. He wrote and directed those. We met in the program at School of the Arts.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we made 2 short films, and I'm trying to this year make a couple more short films to continue to develop talent and develop my knowledge in the business. But I'm also trying to produce my first feature this year. I don't know if it'll happen,
Mhm.
but so I've got like tons of stuff in development.
Yeah.
Like, as a producer, you got to have like multiple things like going. So if something gets traction, you can go.
You can go with that
Yeah.
that project over others.
What about those films that you've got? You've got those films on your website now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you can go on to, what is it,
Hallpictures.us.
Hall.us.
Yeah.
So you can go on there, and I know you can see one of them, and what it was, the one about the mini golf course.
Yeah, Tropical Gardens.
Tropical
Yeah.
Gardens. We were talking about that, because I just watched that this morning before you came in, and Josh had seen it before. And that was a good movie. That was a good little,
It was
like,
fun. It
yeah,
was
it was.
fun.
I really
I
wasn't
loved
sure
it.
what to expect from it. I'm not a big short film or independent
Mhm.
film person, but it was definitely, the focus of it was there. It was a complex sort of set of emotions.
It's a
and you
story
did-
of a it's a story of a man that's
Yeah,
that's,
you-
Rock bottom.
That's
He's at
rock bottom.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
felt sorry for him, but at the same time, it was funny as well. It was
We'll,
just
we'll
like,
tell the story. Yeah. 'cause
Yeah.
Talking
Yeah,
about
go-
yeah.
Well, that's okay. Morton and I met in the program, and we started developing this feature film called Circles. It was a film we were developing. We ended up making a short film around that as kind of like a proof of concept.
Mhm.
And Circles was like about $7,000. Took us like 3 months to pre-produce it. It was a big short
Right.
film. Right, and so then after we made that, like, I feel super proud of that film. I got like 15 cast and crew, like cabins. I brought everything together, and we successfully made this film. And after that, Morton and I were like, all right, let's make something different, but let's go to the opposite end of the spectrum. So Tropical Gardens was like $500
Yeah.
over a weekend
Uh-huh.
with like 5 people total. So we made these 2 films within a year, like 6 months of each other, but they were totally opposite.
Mhm.
And so that was something I wanted to do to challenge myself. So
Right.
Tropical Gardens is just, Morton had the idea. Actually, it's based on a true story. He had a buddy who actually, because Tropical Gardens is a
It's a
mini
real
golf
putt-putt,
course in
yeah.
Asheville,
Yeah.
yeah. And he had an idea, and Morton and I have the same sense of humor, kind of dry, kind of like humor in the awkwardness
Yeah.
and in the reality of life.
Right.
And he had an idea, and he said, hey, I want to, and he wrote a script, and he showed it to me, and we developed it, 4 or 5 rounds of drafts or more, and then we put it together and just filmed it. And it came together really well, and it was our second film together, so we
Mhm.
were working more efficiently, and we knew each other. We had gone through all the hard steps to begin to be in relationship creatively.
Yeah.
And so now we're got 2 films under our belt, we're communicating well, we're going to make more stuff together.
That's awesome.
But yeah, Tropical Gardens, I was very proud of that film.
did you have to
I think
keep
it's
an eye
really
on the
funny.
weather, because the weather
Oh,
worked out
man.
so perfectly in that? It
Well, you
seems
guys
like
are-
it does.
We haven't told the hook though. So the hook is that this young man he broke up with his girlfriend or
Yeah, the
but-
premise is a
yeah.
guy who, his girlfriend dumped him, and to cope with his loss, he tries to beat the the record at the mini golf course.
Yeah.
And so he spends like his every waking hour like trying to beat this record, get the lowest
The
score.
putt-putt course, yeah.
And
The
it's
course
only- I mean,
record
it's-
at Tropical
it's
Gardens.
12, 13 minutes. You should absolutely go check it out. But I mean, when I was watching, the weather like just matches up. It seems from the outside, it seems like it worked perfectly.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that you
And the
mention
weather
that.
always cooperates. So
Well, the thing
we all
is,
know.
this is a testament to Morton. Okay, the weather was a nightmare,
Oh, really?
and Morton on the fly said, "We're going to adjust this, this, and this, and this. We're going to adjust the timing and the wardrobe to make it work this way." So for you to say that is amazing
Yeah.
because the weather was not cooperating with us. It was a total nightmare, and Morton just on the fly was able to be like, "Here's how we're going to fix it." And I didn't have a grasp. I was like, my brain was
yeah.
elsewhere. I was like, "Morton, I don't have a grasp of what you're doing linearly."
Yeah.
I was like, "You do your thing," and it worked out great.
Oh, it's perfect.
It worked out great.
It was
And then
completely
the
perfect.
rain was like represented where he was. It was like perfect for his mood and the tone.
Yeah.
But it was a
Yeah.
total accident. I mean, obviously.
That's,
to get
that's
rained on.
awesome. You're able to adjust and sort of incorporate it in, and I mean that sort of thing happens in film all the time. Though.
Oh
I mean,
yeah, if it can go wrong, it'll go wrong.
Right.
100%.
So we
I mean,
invite all the chatterheads out there to go and watch on hallpictures.us.
.us. I like to say us because like
.us.
film
Yeah.
to me is all about community.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
It's about community. So that's why
So-
I picked it. I was like, oh, it's kind of a fun thing.
We'll
Yeah.
get that link out there.
So
I'll-
check
I'll
out
put it down
check
there.
out Tropical Gardens, and you'll get to see if the main character sets the record or not. We will leave it as a cliffhanger
Nice,
out there.
nice.
No spoilers here.
So I wanted to ask you a couple questions. So in independent film, so you talked about the creating a good story and then figuring out how to make it and then marketing it and whatnot. How often do you find that like that? I mean, I'm assuming you go through a ton of scripts and you read a lot of scripts and how often do you find that gem? And then is there ever an opportunity to where you actually can find funding before? I mean, ideally you want to have funding before the actual filming and everything, as opposed to back end. I mean, is there ever that opportunity where you find this one idea and it's perfect, and then you think, wow, okay, I might be able to sell that to a certain funder in a
Yeah,
different way?
yeah.
I mean,
Well, I'm still learning all that, honestly. All the experience I've had up until basically now now I'm in a place where I'm coming at it from a different way.
Mhm.
Like back in my earlier film days, I never developed anything.
Yeah.
I never thought about the audience. I just went and made a film, right? But that's a waste. I think it's a waste because
Yeah.
without a good script, you don't have a good film, and without an audience, you're not going to make any money back. So
it's a good experience, but
it's a great experience, yeah, and it's good to learn. I'm just all about learning by doing, right?
Yeah, sure.
So, but to answer your question, well, of all the scripts I've read, there have only been a few that have been like in a decent place. It's screenwriting is super tough.
Really?
Yes, super tough, and there's the old saying, writing is rewriting, right? And so, like, really, any script you read, the chances of it being ready to shoot are slim.
Yeah.
You got to meet with the writer, figure out why, what do they want to say, why make the film, why make the film now, how to make it better, and that's just a normal thing in every screenwriter's process.
Yeah.
So, like, I read one script from a colleague of mine in. I met in the program, and I'm attached as a producer, and it was in a pretty good spot, but they had been developing it for 2 years.
Oh wow.
So, but so that's every producer's dream is you read a script and it snaps, something
Yeah.
clicks, and you're like, oh, I understand what this movie is, I understand who this movie is for. Now let's go see what the writer's like, see what they're about. Can I develop a relationship and develop with them?
Sort
But
of getting
yeah.
everybody on the same page. I mean, everybody's
You
got to
gotta
be
be on
under
the same
that
page,
united
yeah.
vision, I guess.
Exactly,
Right.
yeah, the North Star.
Right, there you
Yeah,
go.
I call it. You got to follow that North Star,
Right.
and that's a producer's job. Is like when you establish the North Star in the beginning when you're developing it, you got to stay on that. So every step of the way, you're like, here's what the movie is. Here's who we're making it for. We got to stay on this because it's our plan. It's
Yeah.
like a plan. It's a
Yeah.
business plan. Let's plan to do this, and you kind of adjust as you need. But when you establish the North Star of a film, like where you're going and what it is and why, that you need to stay on course with that.
It's interesting.
But as far as finding money, oh man,
It's just
Good,
laying around.
good luck.
yeah, it's just
It's
like,
laying around.
I mean,
with,
I envision the money piece is like the major motion picture. That's where the money lives. I mean, but like if an independent film, like say you have an independent film that you produce, and I mean, are there, like, is that where you would put it to like film festivals and
Well,
it
it
may
depends.
win an award or something?
well,
and then
that's all about what your plan for the film is.
Okay,
Like,
oh, that's
ideally
part of the
you
plan, okay.
yeah, ideally you figure that out before you even shoot the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, so like, and it depends on what the film is, what the market's like, who the audience is, like, are there other films that are comparable to your film that have done well in the market, kind of thing.
Okay.
But you know, the way it works is when you have a tight script, if you don't have the money, you can't make the movie.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to find the money to make the movie. Then you got to figure out, well, how am I going to make the best movie possible, right? And then once the movie's made, how are we going to market to our target audience? And then you just hope that they buy the movie.
They respond to it,
and you
yeah.
can make your money back. But there's so many independent films. Actually, most independent films don't even make any money.
Yeah, sure.
So that's why it's like sort of crazy to even go in the business. It's
Yeah.
like, what the heck, you know?
Well, that means it's a lot out of a passion.
But it's
though.
fun.
I mean,
It's super fun. Yeah.
You know, we were talking a lot about this before the podcast started about just your history as like a, you know, like an independent employee, right? Like
Yeah.
you've constantly worked hard to in either web and in film and all that. I sense that it's not all it's not about the money. If it was about the money, everybody'd be doing that. It's about the passion, right? And like I can see it
It's
in
a
you that you have this
lifestyle.
passion and
Yeah, it's lifestyle, it's passion, there's a romance to it. I mean, I've been watching movies my whole life, and like I said, when I was like 20-something, I was like, hold on, people make these things.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
something
Somebody's
clicked
actually
in me.
making
I was like,
behind this,
who
yeah.
directed this, and who produced, and that just opened up the world of like, I want to try to make movies.
yeah.
And you know, here I am finally at a place, even though it's super difficult still, I'm at a place where I know how to do it.
Yeah.
In theory, I know the process and what it takes to get a movie made. Now you just got to have a good script and find the money to make it, and hopefully you can make your money back, so then you can make the next one.
That's
You know
interesting.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really tough. I mean, the whole money aspect is, it goes to the why, like you were saying. Like
Right.
some investors are going to want to just believe in your idea,
Mhm.
but I tend to like invest in the people, like this person, this writer, this director. This is what they're trying to say and why they're trying to say it. Like, so come on board with this idea. Like, it's not about just give me money so I can make a movie because it's fun and it's entertaining. It's like there's a purpose behind this, and
Yeah.
we're trying to say something. There's important themes here. Do you, the person with the money, agree with this? And do you want to take a risk and invest?
Yeah.
You know, it's like the stock market. It's a risk. You know,
Yeah.
film
Yeah.
investment's a risk, but it's fun. It's exciting,
Yeah.
and if you hit, you can make some good money.
Mhm.
You know, and so that's like I read a quote recently that every producer is like does what they do because of the chance they might hit a big movie
Hit
or
the
something.
home
You know what I
run.
mean? Yeah, hit a home run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That's
So,
really reflective
it's
of,
interesting.
I mean, so you've been in music and you've been now in movies, and there's other mediums, like, you know, I talk about video games and stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can see that you have independent music, you've got independent movies, you have independent game developers and stuff like that now. And a lot of these smaller studios and stuff are doing it not only for the creative drive, but on the off chance that maybe they do hit and, you know, they bring in that money and
Yeah.
are able to
Yeah.
further fund, you know, more creative projects
Yeah.
down the line.
Yeah, I mean, that, again, it's so key to know why you're doing it and who you're doing it for.
Right.
Because it takes so much to make an indie game,
Mhm.
make music, make a movie that, like, if you don't try to get the best story possible and consider your audience, you're kind of just,
Yeah.
you're
not
setting
doing
yourself
it-
up for failure.
Yeah, you're not doing it for any
And
good reason.
even if you do have a great script and you know your audience and you reach them, you're still not guaranteed
Yeah.
to make your money back. But it's like, at least you're doing your due diligence to like have the best chance possible. So it's really tough, you know,
Right.
so you got to do it for passion and you love it, but you also got to be smart so you're not just losing a bunch of money.
That's
You know what I
true.
mean?
Do you think that I don't know if you can really speak to this, but what do you see as like independent films in like today's movie making landscape, and in sort of like the transition to what it seems like is like a Netflix, right? Like a which is a glorified studio. I mean, I guess is what you would consider them. They're funding all of these projects. What does that mean for today's like movie scene? And I know this is much more global, like major picture, but tell us about that, because I've heard a lot about that and the amount of content that like a Netflix is paying to produce. Has that been? Have you know anything about the history of that, or kind of like the just what that means for the landscape of independent film?
Well, what I can say is that everybody is investing money in content. Like Apple, I think they have $1 billion they're investing in their own content.
Really?
Chump change.
Facebook, Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, they're all the streaming services and the big tech companies are starting to make their own content.
Mhm.
So that's good because there's more places to pitch your projects,
Okay.
right? So like, I package a project, right? The project, when it's packaged, you've got like, here's a director attached, here's the actors that are expressed interest, here's a script, here's the business plan. Like I've packaged everything and I go pitch it. There's a lot more places to pitch. So you got more opportunities to get something made with a company or studio.
Right.
So not independently, right?
So you have a better audience. So you have an audience that a more funding audience is all those people. I mean, are they accessible? Can you literally like go tomorrow?
I have never pitched to any a Netflix or anything like that, anybody like that. But yeah, I mean, I know that when it comes time for me to have a project to pitch, I'm going to figure out a way. How do I go to Netflix and pitch? Because I mean, everybody pitches. Sure. Everybody pitches. It's like the whole industry is built on like pitching projects and. People buy, companies buy projects and never even produce them.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
I've heard that
so
before,
you can like, you and I could be like, oh, we sold our project to Netflix and it never ever comes out. Yeah. But we sold it and we can say we sold it and we got a little money and now we go to the next one. And
that's good though, because that means there's Netflix and there's all these different people that are paying.
That's a good side to it.
So it's not just what I believe was previous, like, Fox Searchlight and whatever,
Yeah, well, the way
4 major players.
Well, the other way you can do it is you produce it independently, you get the money yourself, whether it be with a bigger company or whatever, and then you try to sell your movie. To
already done.
Yeah, already done. So you can pitch it, and then like for example, Netflix. You can pitch to Netflix. They'll give you money to make your thing. It'll be distributed on their platform. And what they used to do, they're not doing much anymore, as far as I know. But you used to be able to go to them and they would buy your movie and then release your movie. But they're going to like all original content. But like Amazon this year at Sundance, Amazon spent like $43 million to buy 3 films. What? They acquired 3 films this year at Sundance for $43 million.
That were quote unquote independent films.
Yeah. They were made. They were at the festival and they were looking for distribution. And Amazon, there was a bidding war, right? And Amazon just reached in their deep pocket and said,
we're gonna buy
like 14 million here, 13 million here. It was like crazy. Like The Big Sick was like that a couple years back.
Right.
It was made probably through a production company that was established, and it had big names to it, but it didn't have no one bought it. It wasn't, there was no distribution, and Amazon bought it for like 14 million, and I think the movie cost like 5 million to make or something.
So you have all these movies.
That's the big way. That's the big way.
That was a good question. And you have all these places like Amazon and Netflix and stuff, but then on the flip side, you've got a website like YouTube as well. So like, how does that fit in? I mean, I can just go make a movie this afternoon if I wanted to, and upload it straight to YouTube and bypass everything, and maybe it goes viral, maybe there's something there.
It's all about the audience. Distribution channels are there. Like it's amazing to be able to make a movie and distribute it yourself and have it available. Whether or not you reach your audience is another deal. So you got to target them, market to them. But yeah, that's another option too.
Compared to 30 years ago, I mean, it's a completely different landscape now.
Totally. But there's also, there's not the best deals around for like, I think I read somewhere Netflix pays like $250,000 for a movie or something, and that's not that great.
It's not that because it costs a lot to make it.
It could
you
cost
said like
more
a
than
$7,000 production. That's
a short film too.
And I imagine exponentially gets larger from there, right?
Yeah. So like the good part is there's a lot of people to pitch to, and so projects can get made. The bad part is it's a longer conversation, but the money's it's less of a chance to make money. Yeah. It's just something like Netflix and stuff like that, but that's a bigger conversation.
So it's interesting. Okay, so a little bit of a shift because we're all kind of movie files.
Now, we can ask this question in 2 different ways, because I've actually been sitting here and I'm like, okay, we've got the film producer on. We're going to ask, what's your favorite movie? And that's too easy. Yeah. I feel like, what's your favorite sort of guilty pleasure movie? Okay. Like, what is the thing that you're just ashamed to like tell other people that you enjoy watching?
I don't have any of those.
No.
I'm not ashamed. If I like a movie, I'll say I like it. Yeah. 100%. There's no like shame in it.
All right. You like it for you got a reason. Yeah, you got a reason.
Yeah, I just
like Clueless.
For me, I'm not afraid.
It was a cute movie.
I'm not afraid to say like I love this movie and it'd be like a guilty pleasure movie. Right. And I'm also not afraid to say I love this movie and then people are like, what movie is that?
Right. So I mean, as far as film, like what sits atop your mountain? I mean, like
off the top of my head, this is obviously like a big list, right? But I mean, The Big Lebowski, 100%. Back to the Future, 100%. Easy Rider, 1969. Easy Rider, phenomenal. There's a movie called Dead Man by Jim Jarmusch, which I love.
That guy, I've seen some of his films, and it's always an interesting.
He's super cool, man.
Yeah.
I love him. He had a movie called Patterson out recently on Amazon Studios. Amazon bought that movie, and that was a great movie. I also love like The Unforgiven.
Oh yeah.
You know, so I like big movies,
Mm-hmm.
but I also like small movies. You know, like, yeah. So like, I love like Christopher Guest stuff. You know, Best in Show.
I
kind of
love it.
stuff.
Love
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Love it.
So like, you know, when you can have like Dead Man and Back to the Future,
Yeah.
they're two different movies, but like they're both like to me perfect. I love those movies. You
So
know?
I have a funny story about Best in Show because I
Yeah.
love that movie too. I grew up. It's another personal revelation to all the Chatter fans. I actually showed dogs when I was younger.
Now see,
So
I didn't even know this.
I grew up and my mom had me showing dogs, Shelties, and anyway, we had show dogs when I was younger. Anyway, now grown up life, I buy Best in Show, and I take it back to give to my mother. I'm like, my mom's gonna love this. They actually made a movie about dog shows. It's gonna be hilarious. She's gonna think it's great. It was brutal. She'd not laugh once. She didn't understand that there's so much comedy in dog shows.
Yeah.
And the way Christopher Guest does it, it's great.
It's brilliant.
And anyway, it
Absolutely
was an
brilliant.
awkward 2 hours where I'm just like, Ma, she's like, I don't understand. This is not funny. Yes, it is.
It's an acquired humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, those dogs are pretty. And then they'd make the jokes. Like, oh, this is not.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, he's brilliant. I remember,
yeah, he is
like
great.
Waiting for Guffman
Yeah.
and of course Spinal Tap.
Yeah. Oh, this
But I
guy-
remember like Best in Show and like Royal Tenenbaums came out in the same kind of
Oh,
like,
right.
area time frame, and both of those were just like blew my mind.
Yeah.
You know,
Wes Anderson stuff is like constant. All those guys, and I love genre. I love their not genre, but I love the style movies,
Yeah.
right? Like each one of these directors, like the Coen brothers or these other
Yeah,
folks,
they have a style,
have
yeah.
such a style.
100%.
And I watched No Country for Old Men the other night.
Mm-hmm.
Started it at 11 o'clock, which I don't advise if you want to sleep like a normal person. Javier Bardem, like, often people with the plunger thing.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was a terrible sleeping night. But that
Yeah.
movie's so good, I couldn't
Yeah.
turn it off.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Their new movie is good too, the Buster Scruggs.
Oh yeah, I saw.
That
It, yeah,
was-
with,
I
yeah,
hadn't
with all,
even watched that
it's
yet.
a series of stories
Yeah.
from I don't know what was the novel that it's from.
I forget.
I don't know, but it's like that's the first one, and then there's a bunch of them. I watched them.
Well, there's some filmmakers who it doesn't matter what they do, I'm like excited about.
Yeah.
Like, Wes Anderson,
Mhm.
Coen Brothers. They just have like a aesthetic to them where I'll always just like be stoked about their movies,
Yeah.
But
agree.
but yeah.
So is Best in Show your
My favorite? No,
top
no.
movie of all time?
No, probably I don't know. Probably harken back to like the Goonies. I mean,
Goonies,
classic,
yeah.
I
classic.
can remember. I know every line
Classic.
from the Goonies, every single line.
Like I would
Right.
love to make a movie like The Goonies.
Yeah.
It would be amazing. That's why when Stranger Things came out, it was like, because
Yes.
I was
Such a
born in
hit.
'75, so it's
Right.
like
Yeah.
I grew up in that era. I was like,
That's the hit, right?
this
like
movie, man, this
the
show,
big
they
bananas,
nailed it.
the
yeah.
banana seat bikes, and the
They nailed it.
just
Everything
the
about it.
walkie-talkie. It was like just
Yeah.
The
dialing
difference
back.
in people that were born in that like '79
Mhm.
time frame and grew up around that,
Mhm.
and the people that did not.
Oh.
Having them watch that show and the differences of takeaways
Mhm.
is completely like,
Yeah.
I'm sitting there and I'm just excited. Like I see just weird stuff in the background. I was like, I had that.
Yeah, I had that poster. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my wife is just like, what?
What are you talking about?
What are you talking
Dude,
about?
my 13-year-old though, the kids, I don't know, maybe just because it's cool, right? But like the middle schoolers, absolutely loved it.
Really?
Had to watch every episode,
Yeah.
and it was on the edge of like, I don't know if I should let my daughter watch this or not.
Yeah.
Like that's what stage of life I'm in right now.
Yeah.
It's like, is this too risky for the kid? Is she, all right. Well, what's your favorite? You got any favorites?
It's kind of like you. You've got different genres. My favorite movie of all time, Seven Samurai or Ran
Yeah.
from Akira Kurosawa.
Yeah.
And all of his like Yojimbo movies and stuff like that. The sort of guy walks into a town and he doesn't know what he's necessarily walking
Yeah.
into, but they don't know that he's like
Super
completely capable of everything, So, but those, and then there's a movie called Barry Gordy's Last Dragon.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
It's
Oh yeah.
it's sort of a Motown-inspired kung fu movie.
Oh yeah. All right.
And it used to come on HBO all the time when I was
Yeah.
sitting
It's
at
like
home
so
by
bad
myself.
it's good.
And it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Like just absolutely.
And that's what it is to me. If a
Right.
movie is good and you enjoy it, it's great. It doesn't matter if it's a big blockbuster.
Forget the
or-
Rotten
Yeah, or-
Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like if you enjoy it.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it.
The thing that gets me, and my wife does this, is like people that poo-poo on movies before, like won't even give them a chance, right? Like, oh, I heard it was bad.
Mm.
Like oh no, that's probably not for me. I'm not gonna. Like, I'm the same way. Like, I like my favorite thing in the world, and hopefully my boss isn't listening, is to cut out early on like a Thursday and like hit that
Or
like
Wednesday
hit that like
or-
5 p.m. movie.
Go to Red
Right.
Cinema.
Yeah, go and
Yeah.
get the matinee and just like sit in there with 2 other people that cut out of work early, and you're just like, I want to see this movie. I don't want anybody around me. I'm just gonna get into it.
Yep.
I love it.
I mean, I've been going to movies since I can remember. My mom used to drop me off at the theater in Raleigh,
Yeah.
and I actually still have all my ticket stubs.
Oh, do you
Oh,
really?
Yeah,
sweet.
I saved all my ticket stubs. I think I skipped a year, like in the late '90s or something, but like from like mid '80s. I've got like Indiana Jones, Three Amigos.
man.
Three Amigos is one of my
Oh,
favorite
yeah,
movies.
yeah.
If I could make a movie as funny as that
Uh-huh.
and as
El
ridiculous as
Guapo?
that, genius. But I've got all those ticket stubs. Like, so for me, I'll just go to movies by myself
Mhm.
and just to sit in the theater and watch a movie. And it may not be the best movie, may not move me, but it's like it's fun.
Yeah.
It's great.
What's your thought on documentaries? Do you ever
I love 'em.
find the interest in like trying to do a documentary?
No,
It's a pretty specialized type
Yeah.
of filmmaking, right?
Well, I mean, as a producer, I could still produce a documentary film, even though I don't fully understand the filmmaking aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like I understand what they're doing.
This is a lot of interview. It's a lot of.
It's the structuring of the story that's confusing
Yeah,
to me,
okay.
and so I could produce that, sure, right? Because producing a movie is producing a movie. But I'm not drawn to that as a storyteller or a, or a project. And there's not any money in those either.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, I love documentaries. I've
Yeah.
been watching those for a long time too. But again, if I met someone and they said, I got this idea, here's my vision, here's my story, and I was like, whoa, I'm totally into that. I'll help you. I'll produce it.
Yeah,
I
sure.
would do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the beauty of filmmaking.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm more drawn to like narrative.
Right on. Right
Yeah,
on.
storytelling.
We are getting to the point
Yeah.
where Brody's gonna kick us out though.
True that.
He's
Um,
tired.
All right. Well, let's plug the website again. Plug any social medias that you want to, Seth.
Yeah, yeah.
Anything you got, and then we'll wrap it up here.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. This has been super fun.
Yeah, this is great.
I mean, you can go to hallpictures.us to see, just read about me. There's a couple short films there. I've got tons of stuff in development that I'll post when the time's right.
Okay.
And everything from I got a big movie in development, I got small movies in development, I got shorts in development, some web series, stuff like that. So
Well, we'll track
hopefully,
along and
yeah,
we'll track
yeah.
along and try to kind of promote as
Exactly.
we go through it, as we see things get announced. Because this
Yeah.
this season goes till I think June-ish, and then we'll launch another season in the fall. So.
Are you on the Twitters and the Instagrams?
I
and
am.
stuff
Everything's
like
on
that?
the website. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Just visit the
Clickable.
website.
Yep. Go to the
Check it out.
website. That's the one-stop shop.
Hallpictures.us.
Hallpictures.us.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Because it takes a village to make a movie. That's for sure.
I like
Aw.
that. All right. Well, you can always follow Gate City Chatter is at GC Chatter on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and recently launched on YouTube. You can see our ugly faces on YouTube. We love you people.
And Brody was not going to kick us out, by the way. I don't want people to think ill of Brody. He was not going to kick us out.
Well,
He's
there's
very
3 of us
accommodating.
and 1 of him.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that could.
Come across the mics, man. All right, wonderful stuff. All right, well, before we go, I want to remind everyone to leave us a bit of feedback, write a review, share the podcast with someone, tell a friend. We really do appreciate it, and it means so much to us. So thank you for listening. Gate City Chatter is brought to you by the City of Greensboro Parks and Recreation in cooperation with Press Play Studios. New episodes go live every week, and you can follow us on all of the social media channels at GC Chatter. Enjoy that new theme music that we're going out to, and we love you, Greensboro. Have a great day.
See you later, everybody. Take
Thank
care.
you. See ya.